Welcome to Career Ambitions, the podcast for corporate professionals who are ready to stop waiting and take control of their careers. If you're tired of sending applications into the void, wondering why you're not getting interviews, and watching opportunities go to people who are no more qualified than you, you're in the right place, my friends. I'm Joanne Sparrow, former HR director turned career coach, and I've spent more than 2 decades sitting on the other side of the hiring table. That means I know exactly what hiring managers think and what they say behind closed doors. Join me on this episode of Career Ambitions, where I'm pulling back the curtains on the hiring process and unapologetically exposing the truths job seekers are never told to give you the strategy and confidence to move your career forward and land your dream job or promotion. Welcome back to Career Ambitions, the podcast for corporate professionals who are ready to take control of their careers, stand out in a crowded job market, and land work that actually feels aligned. I'm Joanne Sparrow, former HR director turned career coach, and after more than 2 decades in corporate HR, I can tell you this: the hiring process has changed. The job market has changed. And yes, AI is changing the world of work. But today, I want to challenge one of the biggest fears I keep hearing right now. The fear that AI is stealing entry-level jobs. I'm hearing it from students, recent grads, parents, professionals that are looking to pivot, and I hear it from job seekers who are already exhausted, discouraged, and wondering if the market is simply impossible right now. The story sounds like this: there are no entry-level jobs anymore because AI took them. And I want to slow that down because, according to LinkedIn's 2026 labor market report, that's not the full story. LinkedIn's data shows that the current slowdown of hiring is being driven more by broader economic factors, including interest rates, lower hiring confidence, and company cost controls, than by AI replacing entry-level workers. The report also suggests that, at least right now, AI is creating more jobs than it's eliminating. Now, does that mean AI is nothing to worry about? No. Does it mean job seekers can ignore it? Absolutely not. But it does mean we need to stop blaming the wrong thing. Because when we blame AI for everything, we miss what is actually happening. Yes, hiring has slowed and competition has increased. Companies are more cautious, recruiters are overwhelmed, and employers are raising the bar on what they expect from candidates at every level. So the real question is not, is AI taking all the jobs? The better question is, what does it now take to be competitive in a job market shaped by AI, skills, and human judgment? That is what we're talking about today. So let's start with the obvious. The job market feels hard right now because it is. If you're applying and not hearing back, you're not imagining it. LinkedIn's research found that nearly 3 in 5 people globally plan to look for a job in 2026. Half said the job search had become harder over the previous year, and almost 40% said they were applying to more jobs than ever, but hearing back less. That is the reality many job seekers are living in. More applications, less response. More competition, more silence. That silence is brutal. Because when you're sending out resumes and hearing nothing back, it's easy to start thinking, maybe I'm not good enough, nobody wants me, maybe my career is over before it even starts, and maybe AI has already replaced me. But as someone who has sat on the hiring side, I want you to hear this very clearly. A lack of response does not always mean a lack of talent. Sometimes it means your resume is just not clear enough. And sometimes it means your LinkedIn profile is not positioning you properly. Sometimes it means you're applying to the wrong roles, or your strategy is too passive. And sometimes it's just the market is simply crowded, cautious, and moving slowly. That is why strategy matters more than ever, because in a competitive market, qualified is not enough. You have to be clearly relevant, and there is a difference. Let's talk about entry-level roles. This is where a lot of job seekers get confused. They see a job posting that says entry-level, but then the employer asks for experience, and they think, how am I supposed to get experience if no one will give me experience? I get it. That feels very unfair, but here's what employers are really looking for. They're not always looking for years of corporate experience. They're looking for proof. Proof that you can communicate, solve problems, meet deadlines, work with people, take feedback, learn quickly, and that you use good judgment. And that proof does not only come from a full-time corporate job. It can come from internships, class projects, part-time work, volunteer experience, freelance projects, a portfolio, a case study, or a side project. This is especially important because LinkedIn's Work Change Report says that by 2030, 70% of skills used in most jobs will change, with AI being a major driver of that shift. LinkedIn has also reported that members are adding skills to their profiles at a much faster rate than they were just a few years ago. And that tells us something very important. The market is moving towards skills, not just titles or degrees or years of experience. It is moving towards skills. So if you're an early career job seeker, your message cannot be, I'm looking for someone to give me a chance. Your message needs to become, here is what I can do. That is a much stronger position. Now, let's talk about AI directly. Because while AI may not be wiping out entry-level jobs the way some headlines are suggesting, it is absolutely changing what employers value. LinkedIn's Work Change Report found that job postings listing AI literacy skills increased significantly over the past year. And that matters because AI literacy is no longer just for tech professionals. It is becoming relevant in marketing, communications, HR, finance, operations, and on and on. In almost every corporate function, employers are starting to expect people to understand how AI can support their work, not replace their thinking, but support their work. So the question becomes, can I use AI to draft a first version of a communication plan? Can I use it to summarize research or organize my ideas or create a project outline? That is the difference. And this is where job seekers need to be careful. Saying, I use ChatGPT is not enough. Everyone can say that. A stronger positioning sounds like this. I use AI tools, support job research, organize ideas, speed up fast drafts, and improve productivity while still applying human judgment, accuracy checks, and brand alignment. That sounds very professional and credible, and it sounds like someone who understands how work is changing. And here's the hopeful part. AI is not making human skills less important. It is making them more important. LinkedIn's research also points to the increasing importance of human skills like communication, creativity, collaboration, adaptability, and critical thinking. And I saw this constantly in HR. The candidates who stood out were not always the ones with the longest resumes. They were the ones who could think clearly, communicate clearly, ask smart questions, connect their experience to the business needs, and show good judgment. And they explained their value in a way that made the hiring manager feel confident. AI can help you produce a draft, but it cannot replace your judgment. It cannot replace your ability to read the room. It cannot replace your credibility, and it will not replace emotional intelligence. It cannot replace your ability to navigate conflict, influence people, build relationships, and communicate with nuance. Those are not soft skills. And I actually do not love that phrase because there is something soft about the skills that get people hired, promoted, trusted, referred, and remembered. Clear communication is a power skill. Judgment is a power skill. Adaptability and relationship building, they're all power skills. And in an AI-shaped job market, those skills matter now more than ever. Now, let's look at the hiring side. LinkedIn's Future of Recruiting research found that most talent acquisition professionals believe AI will change how companies hire. Many recruiters are already experimenting with or using generative AI to help with their work. This does not mean a robot is making every hiring decision, but it does mean recruiting is becoming faster, more tech-enabled, and more data-driven. Recruiters are using AI to write outreach, summarize profiles, and improve workflows. And it's helping them manage those high volumes of applications. So what does that mean for you as a job seeker? It means your resume and LinkedIn profile need to be clearer than ever. Not louder, not stuffed with keywords, not packed with vague buzzwords like dynamic, motivated, and results driven. A recruiter should be able to land on your profile and quickly understand what you do, the problems you solve, the skills you bring, the level you're operating at, the results you've created, and why you are relevant for the role they're looking to fill. If that is not obvious, you're making the recruiter work way too hard. And in this market, that is super risky because overwhelmed recruiters do not have time to decode your potential. You need to make your relevance obvious. One of the biggest mistakes I've always seen with job seekers is thinking the answer is more applications, more job boards, more quick applies, more resumes, more hours online applying. But LinkedIn's research shows that many job seekers are already applying more and hearing back less. And that tells us something. The answer is not always more volume. The answer is a better strategy. Because if your resume is not aligned, sending it out to 100 or more postings will not fix the problem. If your LinkedIn profile is unclear, applying to more jobs will not fix the problem. And if you're not networking, not following up, and not building visibility, more applications will not fix the problem. Applying online can and should be part of your strategy, but it cannot be the whole strategy. Not in today's job market when the competition is so high and recruiters are overwhelmed. Not when AI is changing how people search, screen, and evaluate candidates. You need a strategy that includes a strong resume, one resume that you're not tailoring for every job you apply for. You also need your LinkedIn profile to be fully optimized, listing your relevant skills, showing proof of your work. Your strategy also needs to include targeted applications, targeted networking, timely follow-up, and interview preparation before you get the interview. And that includes a clear career story. That is how you become competitive. And that is what I do with my clients inside Career Ambitions. So, what is it that you should actually do? Let's make this super practical. First, build AI literacy. You do not need to become an AI expert overnight, but you do need to get comfortable using AI tools in responsible, practical ways. You can use AI to research, brainstorm, organize ideas, use it to identify skills gaps, but do not outsource your thinking. AI can help you move faster. You still need to bring in judgment. Secondly, strengthen your human skills. Communication, clear writing, collaboration, problem solving, adaptability, curiosity, professional judgment. These are the skills that help people trust you. And trust is still one of the biggest factors in hiring. Third, show your work. If you're early in your career or trying to make a pivot, don't wait for a job title to prove your skills. Create a portfolio. Write about what you're learning. Share a project. Create a sample campaign. Break down a brand strategy, volunteer and document what you contributed, or perhaps you turn a school project into a professional case study. Don't just tell employers you are capable, show them. Show them with proof. And fourth, update your resume for today's market. Your resume cannot be a list of tasks. It needs to show value. And fifth, stop hiding behind applications. Relationships matter now more than ever. Visibility, referrals, being known still matters. Follow people in your industry. Comment thoughtfully on the platform. Reach out to people doing work you admire. Ask better questions. Showcase your point of view. You do not need to become a full-time content creator, but you do need to become more discoverable, because the best opportunities do not always go to the most qualified person. They often go to the person who is qualified and visible. Now, I also want to speak directly to recent graduates and parents. I understand the fear. The job market does look different than it did 20, 30 years ago. The path is less linear. The tools are changing faster. Competition is more visible, and the expectations can feel overwhelming. But young people are not powerless in this market. They are entering a world where adaptability is a career currency. The old model was get a degree, get a job, climb the ladder. Now the new model is more fluid. Build skills, show proof, use tech, create relationships, keep learning, stay visible, and adapt often. That may feel intimidating, but it also creates opportunity because you do not have to wait for permission anymore. You can learn, build, publish, connect, and create proof before someone even gives you a job title. That is powerful. So, is AI stealing entry-level jobs? Not in the simple, dramatic way that headlines make it sound. The truth is so much more nuanced. AI is changing work. It is changing hiring. It is changing the skills employers value. But the bigger issue right now is a slower, more cautious, more competitive job market. And in that market, job seekers need to shift from volume to strategy, from generic resumes to targeted positioning, from task lists to proof of impact, from fear of AI to practical AI literacy, from waiting to be discovered to becoming visible, from saying, I need someone to give me a chance, to saying, here is the evidence of what I can do. That is the shift. And here is the hopeful part. AI is not the end of your career story, but it is a signal that your career strategy needs to evolve. So this week, I want you to ask yourself, where am I blaming the market when I may need to update my strategy? What skill do I need to build? What proof do I need to show? What relationship do I need to start? And how can I use AI as a tool? Because the future of work does not belong to the people who panic. It belongs to the people who pay attention, stay adaptable, build relevant skills, and remain deeply human in a market that needs human judgment now more than ever. Until next time, make it a great week. Thank you so much for listening to Career Ambitions. If this episode gave you a new perspective, a practical takeaway, or even a little spark of confidence you needed, I would love for you to follow the show and leave a review. And if you're an ambitious corporate professional who's ready to stop guessing and start moving with a clear strategy, I would love to invite you to my masterclass. Inside this masterclass, I teach the exact strategies my clients are using to land their dream jobs. You can learn more about the masterclass in the show notes or at joannesparrow.com. See you in the next episode of Career Ambitions.